Everyone, it's Ashley from the Laid Back Homeschooler, and I am coming to you today with a quick question and answer video on the topic of socialization. Aren't homeschool kids completely unsocialized or under-socialized? Aren't they socially awkward and have no idea how to interact with anybody else because they've been just kept at home? The answer is not necessarily. Can it happen? Sure. There are people who abuse the umbrella of homeschooling all day long. But I want to take a look at what socialization actually means. I can speak, I promise. And look at how homeschooling not only doesn't inhibit a child's socialization in and of itself, but how a child can actually be far better socialized by being homeschooled. The first definition of socialization is the activity of mixing socially with other people, basically hanging out and having fun, which we would all agree is not the purpose of a public school classroom. Does it happen there? Sure, it does. But if we're depending on school, the classroom, to offer our children a chance to mix socially, we're doing them a disservice. Where do kids mix socially? After school activities, clubs, church activities, things like dance, community theater, all of these other places outside of the classroom are where kids have an opportunity to mix socially. And those places aren't limited to public school students. Homeschool students can very easily participate in all of those things, sometimes even more so than public school students because of the flexibility of a homeschool schedule. Homeschool students also have the opportunity to participate in things like co-ops where they can be around other homeschool kids. We have a co-op that we participate in every other week now that, COVID. But my girls all do dance multiple days a week. They're involved in the community theater. They have church activities that they do. They go to friends' houses like normal kids. So a homeschool student isn't necessarily lacking in opportunities to socialize with other kids. The other definition of socialization is learning what behavior is acceptable in society. This is clearly not something that we want our kids to learn from other kids because all kids are learning exactly the same. It would be the blind leading the blind. I don't expect another, 7-year-old to teach my 7-year-old what behavior is acceptable in society. And the teacher, a classroom teacher, is extremely limited on her ability to teach this. For one thing, she's very limited by her environment. She can only teach what behavior is acceptable in the classroom, or maybe, on the playground or in the lunchroom. But those are the only environments that she even has access to give that practical instruction. She's also going to be limited by the amount of control that she has in the classroom. And if you have a classroom that's full of undisciplined and unruly kids, that's cutting in to everything else that the teacher has to do. So this is not something that was intended to be or really can be primarily provided by the school teacher. Who is it that is the primary, or should be the primary teacher for what is socially acceptable? The parents, or whoever the primary caregiver is for that child. It's my job as the mother to teach my children what behavior is acceptable in society. This is where homeschool kids really can have an advantage. My children, and as other homeschool children do, are in a lot of different situations, real life, socially, because they're with me all the time, almost all the time. They have to go with me everywhere. If I have errands to run, my kids go with me. Consequently, they have to learn not just how to interact with their peer group, and that's key. They are learning to be proficient in interacting outside of their peer group, and that's huge. My children know how to speak confidently and respectfully to adults. They know how to get down on the level of a preschooler. Because that's something that they have experience doing. Homeschool students have the opportunity to be regularly exposed to a vast array of social situations, and their parent, their primary teacher, has the access and the relationship and the rapport and the responsibility to teach them how to interact in those situations. So, if you are new to homeschooling or considering homeschooling and socialization is a huge worry of yours, do not fret. Your homeschool student can come out even better socialized than their public school peers. More comfortable, more confident, more articulate. This is one of those areas where you get out of it what you put into it. That's all I've got for you today on this quick little question and answer video. This was still longer than I wanted it to be, but socialization is such a big issue for so many people. I really wanted to make sure that I touched on it well. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those for me. Don't forget to like the video if it was helpful for you. Subscribe to the channel so that you can get all the latest content, and I'll see you next time.